Prophet Marshall Occurrence back at it. Okay, so this video is basically going to be for all those who have been targeted individuals from the gang stalkers and everything. This is more advanced gang stalking, spiritual warfare, military tactics, and prophetic messages concerning the gang stalkers. You know, this is prophetic messages under the power of God, under the Holy Ghost, concerning gang stalking. And you listen, there's a lot of people that's going to talk to you just like about any other issue. They're going to give you all these roundabout solutions instead of God being the solution, instead of having spiritual insight. So the best people to listen to when it comes to this gang stalking stuff is God's people. Because there are people that are not Christians, there are people that are not spiritual, and they talking about it, and they have no solutions. Their only solution is venting and talking about it, and I say that respectfully. You know, it's good. It's a sense of community. If it's not good for anything else, it's good for a sense of community, but in relation to people that's going through gang stalking. But ultimately, they have no real solid solutions. So here, you're going to find solutions and insight, spiritual prophetic insight. That's the difference. But you got to do it just like any other situation. You got to do it God's way to see things change, to see your life change. You want the gang stalking to change. You got to do it God's way. Think about it. God got solutions. I'm showing you the solutions that God has for these situations of gang stalking. Okay? Remind you, like I said, there are people that are very fully aware of gang stalking, but they are not Christians. They're not spiritual people. They're not spiritual Christians that are giving you real solutions to what you should do and how you should do it. I'm giving you real solutions. I'm giving you real answers. But you can't cut no corners. You can't cut no corners at all. Okay? How to get the solutions. You will not be able to cut no corners. Okay? Okay, so with that being said, everything I say is prophetic for the most part in nature. The foundation of everything I say is prophetic. Right? I want you to understand that. This is not me just getting on here venting. This is not me just getting on here just talking cool and talking and spazzing and crashing out like people say now. This ain't me crashing out. Because a man of my caliber, man, you know, I don't crash out. I just spaz out. You know what I'm saying? I don't crash out. I just spaz out. You know what I'm saying? So where it might look like I'm at my wit's end or I'm about to go out here and do something crazy. I mean, that's how most soldiers vent. If I do vent, I'm a spaz out. I'm not gonna crash out. So there's no crashing out here. If you're waiting for it, if the ops is waiting for it, don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath, buddy. Because you ain't gonna make it if you hold your breath. You gotta say that for the slow people. You can't make it if you hold your breath. Waiting for me to crash out, it's not gonna happen. This is at best, all you're gonna see is me spaz out. Right? So with that being said, this is not me crashing out. This is not crash out energy whatsoever. Okay? This is real solutions. This is spiritual military. I'm a general. I'm an A-star general because I already defeated the Americans with information and spiritual manifestations. I'm an A-star general. Let's make that very clear. That's real. Go check my information. I'm the only one that talked about child marriage. Jay-Z didn't talk about it. These rappers didn't talk about it. None of these rappers talked about child marriage laws in America. Okay, so how are me and them on the same level? How can you even compare me to these people? I talked about military, having the age of consent at 16. Everybody's oblivious to it. New laws being passed to marry children July 1st, 2019. Everybody's oblivious to it. Okay, so I beat the Americans through this information while they still playing psychological games. I'm an 8-star general. That's the, you see, that's the confirmation of birth. Listen, man. This is spiritual manifestations. This is spiritual talk. This is prophetic talk, right? This is not a game. If you think I'm on here to get cash apps and PayPals, and I appreciate those things, right? I truly do. And but that's not the logistics of what I do. That's not what motivates me per se. What gets me up out of my bed or wherever I'm sleeping is to encourage and inform the community of what really is going on and what's really going to happen. And that's really what a prophet is going to do. You know, I'm compelled, I'm driven to lead you in the right direction and to inform people of what really is going on and to inform people of what the Americans have been doing, marrying children and everything. I'm compelled. While they sit up and insinuate with corny McDonald games, I call them McDonald games, you know, insinuate stuff that they are already doing. You know, so this is how I set everything up. This is how I line everything. This is how I set it up. For you to understand what has to happen. Now that you know this is not no corny little messages for views, this is not no corny little messages for likes, this is not no corny little messages to make me feel like I'm doing something with my life. This is a compelled prophet that feels passionate about informing people on what's really going on. I'm passionate about seeing people come to the truth about what's really going on with this gang stalking. And it has a prophetic edge on everything that I say pertaining to the insight of the situation with these gang stalkers. So that's how I want you to listen to it with spiritual ears, because there are many people out there that talk about gang stalking, and I'm not competing with them. We in the same, we're one big family actually. You know, because we begin to relate to each other. You know, that's how it is. You begin to relate to people being gang stalked because your family starts to be on the outside. They don't really understand what you're going through. They don't really believe everything you're talking about. So then who you going to relate to? You're going to start relating to people like me and you that's going through this stuff. And so you begin to, if you're wise, you will begin to embrace the whole targeted individual community as a type of family. You have to, man, because I mean, your family ain't gonna really believe in this, man. I mean, some of them, most of you who are high-ranking targets, your family is being gang stalked anyway. But they gonna look at it like it's something else going on. It's the evil in the world. It's not just the evil in the world. It's intentional people doing things against you. That's what it is. It don't have to be like that just because it's just like an evil world. You know what I'm saying? It's people that's focused on you. It's people that's focused on me, right? And they're in our neighborhoods, they're in our community, they're in our gas stations, they're at our food, grocery stores, they're at the department stores, malls, everything in between. They're everywhere, right? And so that's the setup. That's the second setup for what this message is all about. With these people being everywhere, all in our community, trying to trigger our minds with their children and trying to trigger our minds like we animals, trying to call to us like there's a pedophile call, like they calling to us like we're an animal, like using their children's voices in different houses and around our neighborhoods and everything. I'm a veteran concerning all of this stuff. I understand every bit of it. Because I sat back and watched as a prophet, and I listened and I watched as a prophet. The Bible says watch as well as pray. While you praying, you got to watch and pay attention and watch. Otherwise, your prayers are not going to be as laser sharp as it needs to be concerning what you need to pray about. When I watch, I know what to pray about. When I watch, I know what to fast about. When I watch, I know what to give the offering about. You see what I'm saying? So see, that's part of spiritual warfare strategy. You can't just pray. You gotta watch as well as pray. Which means you gotta watch your surroundings, and so that you can see what I need to pray about, what I need to fast about, what I need to give offerings about. And when you think about that, a lot of people are asleep. They're not paying attention. Their ears are not open. They're deceived. They're confused. I'm not confused or deceived. Neither are you, right? So we know what's going on, and we know why it's going on. Now that's the third setup. That's the third setup. The only way with all these people against Christians and other people, the only way we gonna defeat these people is that the American systems and the systems of different countries are shut down. I want you to think about it, man. The only way we gonna beat these people realistically, I don't know if you came to the realistic part yet, because although I'm a Christian and I'm a spiritual person, I am also a realist. Now everybody like to say I'm a realist, right? But I incorporate reality into all my worldviews and how I think. And when I navigate intellectually, I always incorporate reality. I don't never leave reality out of my intellectual property, right? And so that's what makes me a realist. I consider and incorporate reality, facts in reality. That's it. And a lot of people, you'll be surprised, they do not incorporate reality or facts into their worldviews or into their dialogue or into their intellectual property. I'm always incorporating reality. So nobody can ever act like I'm on a fantasy world. I don't live in fantasy worlds. I travel too much to be a fantasy type of person. I'm all about reality. That's how I survive. You know what I'm saying? I've been in California. I can't be in fantasy world in California. I can't be in fantasy world in New York City. So if anybody ever felt that way about me, that I'm a fantasy type world person, how am I being a fantasy world type of person? And I've been Brooklyn and New York. I got to keep my eyes open. I got to keep my eyes open in California. I got to keep my eyes open in Florida, and you know what I'm saying, in all the places I've been, everywhere with this, especially with this gang stalking. And so this is not derived, if you will. This is not conjured up or summoned by some fantasy world type of perspective. This is me looking at patterns of all these people being against us for X amount of time. For X amount of time, something got to give. We can't be Ned Flanders. You know what I'm saying? This stuff been going on way too long. We all know that. We all been saying that. And so the prophet ain't stuck on stupid, right? I'm not stuck on stupid. I'm not stuck on stupid over here. Something has to give. Something has to be done. That's the bottom line. And we not going to be cliche and say God going to do it. We going to play our position. We going to play our position. We ain't sitting back thinking God just going to do it by himself. You can't even support that in the Bible, that perspective. God always, his people always played a certain position. Moses played a position. All these high-ranking spiritual soldiers always played a position, while God led as general over the whole war or over the whole battle. We have to play a position. David played a position. He didn't just sit back. when Absalom, his son, was against him. He ain't just say, well, God gonna do it. Absalom, his own son, was against him. And Saul was against David. And Absalom and David. That's why I want you to study this as far as spiritual warfare, understanding your spiritual warfare position. I want you to go look at David. David cannot be denied as a warrior that fought real wars, and God was still with him, right? So we ain't in the Ned Flanders American Christianity where we don't understand that we will sometimes have to fight against human beings. David had to fight against human beings. He killed Goliath. His first body under his belt was Goliath. So where's the not fight against human beings right there? David killed the Goliath. He was already anointed by the prophet Nathan, right? When he went to the house of Jesse looking for David. David was already chosen by God before he killed Goliath. He was already anointed before he killed that human being, right or wrong. So he was already anointed before he killed the human being. That's 7 out. Listen, what I want you to understand is, man, you got to come out of that okie doke religion. You got a real war on your hands. You got real people that's against you. And I'm trying to show you, it ain't no religious way out of this. Ain't no religious way out of this stuff. Ain't no religious Presbyterian, no disrespect. Ain't no Presbyterian way out of this. Okay? It ain't gonna go away. It's not going to go away on its own. See, that's how you know I'm a realist. I incorporate reality into every situation. This is not gonna go away on its own. It's not. It's not gonna go away on its own, man. David was a general, right or wrong. See, in these last days, God is taking everyone that's been gang stalked and putting them under the teachings of David. God is setting me under the teachings of David, because Jesus Christ the Messiah did not fight physical wars on earth, right? So when you're getting gang stalked, you can't go and look only to the position of Jesus. I'm telling you this as a prophet. God, if you're really being gang stalked, God is going to put you under the teachings of David, because now you're dealing with real reality wars, real physical people as a spiritual person. And David is the number one person, not Jesus. David is the number one person that went into physical wars as a spiritual person. Listen what I said. Listen what I said. David is the number one person, not Jesus Christ the Messiah. David was the number one person that fought physical people as a spiritual person. You got to get the American McDonald clowns out the way. You got to get Ronald McDonald out the way. All these Ronald McDonald clowns. Listen, this ain't no room for clowns. Ain't no place for clowns. This ain't no place for clowns, because you think you're a Christian, but you don't acknowledge the whole Bible. You don't acknowledge David. David killed people. What part of that you don't understand? David killed real people in the real world, and God was with him. He was anointed from a child. He killed Goliath. That was his first body under his belt. So you either believe in it or you don't. Let's just say you don't believe in it. rather than denying it, if that makes sense. Rather than denying the reality of it. Let's just say you don't really believe in that. I do. Because it made common sense to me every time. Listen, it never ceased to amaze me how the word of God it relates to real time reality, where now you have real enemies and you got to go to real war. And it's room to see that in the Bible. It's in the Bible. David went to war with real human beings, whether you accept it or not. David went to war. And so, if you're being gang stalked, God is going to sit you, Jesus is going to sit you under the teachings of David. You remember in Kill Bill, I don't know if you ever watched it, maybe you never have. Bill sent Beatrix to another sensei. Even though Bill already was a sensei, he could have taught her. But it was something else that she needed to get from the other sensei. It was something else Beatrice needed to get from the other sensei that Bill couldn't give her. Right? Me, I'm a student of many different masters. But Jesus Christ is my ultimate master. Yahweh is my ultimate master. The Holy Ghost is my ultimate master. But I sit under the teaching of different masters. But Jesus Christ is my ultimate master. I don't let people play with me like I'm okie doke and I'm okie doke like you okie doke. Where you're almost like a religious cult that, well, I don't listen to nobody but Jesus. Then why read the Bible? What makes sense of the rest of the Bible then? I follow Jesus, but Jesus want me to follow the whole Bible. The Son of God want me to follow the whole Bible. Okay, that's the bottom line. And when you follow the whole Bible, you're going to see what's the point of David? What should you get from that? Knowing that we in the last days, that you could become a warrior and fight in a spiritual position as a warrior. That ain't what you get from David. What you get from David? Oh, it's just a good read about David fighting wars. What else do you get as a competent, mentally competent man? What else do you get? You know what I get? That as a spiritual person, you could in this lifetime face physical enemies. David faced, let's review. David killed Goliath. David had to go to war with his own son. David had to, this is why I believe the Bible is real. It's real reality. He had to go to war with his own son, Absalom. And he had to go to war with washed up Saul. Saul was washed up. He had to go to war with him. He was the new king coming, and Saul despised him and hated him. Those are the three situations that show you that as a spiritual person, you will face in this real world that we live in. It's possible. I want you to think about this. Is it possible for you to face physical human beings as a spiritual person? Yes or no? So it's not possible at all. And man got free will to do what he want to do. See, I'm waking your mind up. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. And God will command his people to go to war. See, listen. You've been in religion. That's what got you. Listen, when it comes to warfare, you in religion. That's 7 out. When you in religion, you can't see what to do in warfare, can you? No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. See, when you're spiritual, you're going to be led to David. I'm telling you as a prophet. Remember, I told you these words. Listen, I don't get up here saying something out of hate. There's a difference between war and hate. And many times, soft Christians and Ned Flanders Christians don't know the difference between war as a man and hate. David, what you think David was walking around doing when he was killing? Oh, I'm just a happy guy. I'm just a happy guy. David was walking around like a warrior. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? See how you can get caught up in the religious part of American Christianity. That's why I don't consider myself a American Christian anymore. I'm not an American Christian. I'm a Middle Eastern Christian. Because Christianity started in the Middle East. And so I take from all of that, I don't have any Americanized worldviews anymore. So if any worldviews I do have, it comes from over there in the geographics of the Middle East. Makes sense? I don't have worldviews anymore. My worldviews is from the Bible. I don't have worldviews of the Americans. I don't value what they value. I don't think like they think. So I'm not an American Christian. I'm a Middle Eastern Christian. It don't mean I'm a terrorist. It don't mean any of that. It's just I don't take my worldviews from the Americans anymore. That's the best victory right there. Stop taking the worldviews of these same bastards that hate us, and they really hate us. You know what hate is? Gang stalking. You know what hate is? People following you around. You know what hate is? People putting you under surveillance. You know what hate is? People watching your every move when you go out in the community and you know it. That's hate. And you know what the solution is? We going to war. That's what we doing. We going into spiritual war. That's what we doing. We ain't playing no games over here. See, some people that's brought up in the church, man, I'm telling you something, man. Many people are going to be destroyed for a lack of knowledge. You know what the lack of knowledge is in this situation? You didn't realize that possibly in this lifetime you would have to go to war like David. Times changed, and as times changed, before times changed, as times changed, you got comfortable with the world as you know it in America. And they protected you so much that you even changed your doctrine to think that you would never have to protect yourself. America protected Christians so good like Campbell soup. Protected you so good, that you didn't think you would ever have to protect yourself. Well, how you feel about that now with these gang stalkers? Because if you really being gang stalked, don't you feel the need? You ain't feeling the urge to protect yourself? Especially if you're a man. If you're a man, you don't feel the urge to protect yourself from these folks. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And God got the solutions. God got the solutions. You know what the solutions is? He gonna sit you under the teachings of David. And you're going to realize you listen, as times have changed in America, and it's no longer how it was where people respected Christians and people did not gang stalk. Now we in a new era where people do not respect Christians, and God is going to sit you under the teachings of David to help you understand times have changed. And now I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you with the word of God what your times are like. You know what your times are like? The times of David. You're now in like the times of old, in the times of David. And you can't accept it. You can't accept that now you got real physical enemies. And they're not going away on their own. So then Jesus going to lead you to David. I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you. If you're in the spirit, if you're fasting, if you're on your face before God, if you're turning down your plate, if you're not in the world right now, God's gonna lead you to David's teachings. I'm telling you, that's what he's gonna do. See, everybody else that's backsliding, everybody else that's blind and their ears are dull, they can't see. See, one of the symptoms of being backslidden is you can't see everything and you can't hear everything. When I was backslidden, I couldn't see everything and I couldn't hear everything. Neither did the Holy Ghost lead me into all the things that was going on. How he gonna lead you? So you can't pay no attention to people that's backslidden. You can't pay no. Because they gonna go by, I'm gonna tell you what they gonna go by. They gonna go by the legalistic part of the word. Oh, that's it right there. That's 7 hours. They gonna go by the love part of the world, of the word. When God, listen, God don't let his people get trampled on. Times changed and you was backsliding, and that's why you can't see what to do. They think they right next to us. They think they close to you, but they not, because they backslidden. That's why they can't get in the spirit. They can't hear what to do. It sounds cruel, but they don't know that it's a raging war that's going on. They know, but they don't know. Ultimately, they know, but they don't know what to do. Because God, let me tell you what God gonna do. God is going to lead you to the teachings of David. I'm telling you, that's what he did to me. And when you look at the teachings of David, you're going to understand that how could you not understand that sometimes you could face human beings on the battlefield. You don't get that from the story of David. Now I want you to think about that. You don't get that from the story because you too busy. Listen, you too much into the church theatrics. You too much into the church programs. You're not in the real world. In the real world, you got all these evil people raging around us. You got wickedness raging around us. You got real wars brewing around us. You got World War III almost at our doorstep. And you're in church programs. I'm trying to show you, you're in the real world. The real world is taking over. Does that make sense? And it ain't no room for no church programs no more. See, I think people think I'm trying to have some cutting edge as a preacher. This ain't no cutting edge as a preacher. This is me telling you what I seen with my own eyes, with my own ears. I know what's going on. These systems got to be shut down. This how bad it got. This how bad the culture got. That's how all these little young people made it so bad to where now, look, these little young dumb bastards caused the systems to be shut down. They thought they was being savages. They thought they was being 100. They thought they was being real, right? I'm talking about the younger generations of gang stalking because, like I explained to you, it's not the old people that's leading the gang stalking. It's the young people. It's the young people in America that's leading the gang stalking. You wouldn't have thought about that. You would have thought it was more old police and old military. Well, how old is police? Police ain't in their 40s. So if you're over your 40s, police is younger than you. All of them. With that being said, they come from a younger generation. With that being said, they think like these young people, the police do. Where they'll put gay and lesbian people before you as a Christian. Where they hate you because you're a Christian. The young generation, if you don't know in America, hate Christians. You don't know that? You don't realize that yet? See? Catch up. Man, listen, how I'm coming from New York and I'm behind. Make it make sense. I listen, anybody seeing I'm coming from New York, I would be listening to everything that person say. I just came from Brooklyn. How you gonna tell me what's going on? Imagine you telling me what's going on. I just came from Brooklyn. I know what's going on. And I always been type of person. Listen, if you coming from a place like that, I'm listening. I'm listening to you. And I'm not saying this out of hate. How I got that much hate like that? Think about it. Who's walking around with that? Who caring about people like that with that much hate? That's what I would question. Why would a person have that much hate? Just naturally. Who would be that hateful naturally? That's the first thing I would think when a person is talking like spiritual warfare against these gang stalkers, spiritual warfare against the Americans. The first thing I'm gonna think is, why would this person just be smart? The smart way I think. Why would he just be naturally that hateful, just hate people? And then he traveling all around, loving the country and traveling all around. Something went wrong. That's what happened. Well, how he hate America and he been everywhere in America. Like I like to say, I'm more American than most of these people. Well, what parts of America did you go to? I've been to all of it. I've been to all parts of America. I'm more American than the average person here. So obviously, I had love for America, right or wrong. Well, why would I travel if I hated America? Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. Why would I be all around the country if I hated America? Make it make sense, bro. Listen, man, these are the questions that smart people ask. Like they say in California, I ask all the right questions. Some people ask the wrong questions. I ask all the right questions, right? You got to think out the right questions about people. right? Why would I just be so filled with hate and I'm traveling all around and everywhere? Who would do that? Who would go to New York and hate America? That's the Mecca of America. That's the Mecca. The real capital is New York City, if you haven't figured out the mystery. Washington, D.C. is not really the capital. It's the political capital. But the cultural capital, where everybody get their lingo and their fashion from over the decades, have been New York. New York is the real capital. New York City is the real capital of America, if you don't know. That just makes sense. I mean, you go to any other country, it's going to be the most populated and cultural city that is the capital. New York City is the most fashionable, cultural, American cultured city of America. So why would I go there if I hate America? Why would I stay there if America hates me? See where it's at? Oh, I went there. I proved. Listen, did anything happen to anybody? Oh, I had opportunity. I had opportunity. Did anything happen to anybody? But why would I stay there and America hates me? Why would I stay in the capital of America? That was another reason I left. Ain't no. Listen, if it's a war between us and the Americans, why would I stay in New York City? I'd rather come down south where people understand how this stuff really goes, how this American country really goes. You know, you ain't gonna stay in the capital. It's called wisdom. That's what it's called. It's called wisdom. It's called discretion. The only way these systems are going to be shut down, is God is going to do it. God is going to do it, and we have to play our position. The first position you have to understand you must have is that you must stop praying for this country according to Jeremiah. According to Jeremiah, God told Jeremiah, stop praying for these people. Don't pray for them. Go look it up. And when they come to me with problems, and when they cry to me for help, I will not listen. That's what God said. This is the nature of God. See, you got to understand, you're following God, right? Jesus is going to lead you to Yahweh. You got to understand that you're not going to get all things from just one portion of the Bible. You got to go look at the nature of Yahweh, where he talked to Jeremiah, to understand Jesus fully. To understand Jesus fully, you got to read the whole Bible, because Jesus played a certain position where he was even killed on earth. He had a purpose. You understand, right? So he was in a lane, if you will, when he came to the world. That's it right there. Jesus was in a lane. You didn't see all he could be. You didn't see all he is. You understand, right? So he was on a mission. So how you gonna understand Jesus when he on a mission? That's like trying to understand a soldier while he's in a tour. How you gonna understand this man when he on a tour? Well, I think I can get to know him while he doing a tour. I can get to know him while he doing a tour on the battlefield. Jesus was doing a tour on the battlefield. How you gonna get to know him? Now you listen. You didn't hear that, did you? How you gonna get to fully know Jesus when he was on a tour, the equivalent of a tour to save humanity? And he was more serious than any soldier you could ever imagine. So he was in war mode from the beginning. No pun intended, to save humanity. In that position, you didn't see the fullness of Jesus. No, you didn't. You see what I'm saying? See, that's listen. Only an intellectual highbrow can talk on these levels, man. How you see the fullness of Jesus through just that part where he came to save humanity? You didn't see the fullness of Jesus. To understand the fullness of Jesus, you got to read the whole Bible. Where, oh, I didn't know Jesus would do that. Oh, I didn't know Jesus would think like that. Oh, I didn't know God would do that. I didn't know God would do this. See what I'm saying? Jesus was on a mission. Now, if you're simple-minded, you're going to just look at what he said and what he did, and you're going to think that's all I need to be right there. When he was on a mission, he came here on a mission with purpose. You couldn't have seen everything he was. And the bottom line is it's easier to convince men. It's harder to convince women that God goes to war. Yes, he does. God goes to war. God is love, but God goes to war. Everything is a balance. We can admit that, right? How God gonna be just love, love, love with the world? If God can't be like that, how you gonna be like that? And see, that's the mystery right there. Can God be love, love, love to the world? Okay, so how can you be love, love, love to the world? It comes a time, the Bible says it's a time to love and a time to hate. Yes or no? Okay, now you put in your own interpretation. Be careful with that. Be careful with that. To assume you know what it means, be careful with that. Go get the Hebrew and the Greek and see what it means. Stop putting your own reek-and-dink philosophy on it and telling us what hate means. Listen, it's the opposite of love. We know that, don't we? We know it's the opposite of love, don't we? Well, it says it's a time to love and a time to hate. It's the opposite of love. See, I have arrived at mastery to understand that there's the four most powerful elements in the world: toxic love, and toxic and healthy hate, and healthy love. You got healthy love and you got toxic love. Sometimes it's a wrong way to love people, or it's a wrong way they love you, right? You got healthy love and you got toxic love. Healthy hate and toxic hate. This is not toxic hate. You didn't have masters that taught you healthy hate and toxic hate. Well, it ain't toxic hate when God tell you it's a time to hate. It's healthy hate, and you didn't have masters that elevated to help you see that there's four dynamics in the world that makes the world go around: toxic love and healthy love, toxic hate and healthy hate. Healthy hate, by definition, is to repel, to refrain from embracing, to boycott, and to protest. Healthy hate is to boycott, protest, refrain from embracing, and to repel. You ain't think I know what you ain't think I know what I was talking about, did you? Now you see what I know when I'm talking about. Healthy hate is to refrain from embracing, to repel, to boycott, and to protest. If you had healthy hate before war, you wouldn't have wars in the world. If you had